Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're going to be doing top 5 theme teams for the future. I know everyone's been asking what the best theme team is, what theme team is going to be good from like now until like a month, and I got that list for you guys. We're only going to be doing top 5 because it gets a little, you can argue a bit more when you get to like 6 through 10 and stuff, but these are my top 5. But we're first going to start with honorable mention. We have the Kansas City Chiefs. They always find a way to make a deep playoff run. And if they win this week, regardless, if they win this week, they're getting more playoff cards. If they do win this week, they're going to get another set of playoff cards. They're going to make this team even better. As you can see, they have Patrick Mahomes. People are still using zero choke cards with Gunslinger and Master Tack. Patrick Mahomes gets that. Peyton Hillis, I know he's an LTD, but he is a pretty good running back on a theme team. Tyreek Hill, D-Hop. I do think it's about time Xavier Worthy's going to get his upgrade. I honestly, if you haven't checked out my video yesterday, I'm predicting Xavier Worthy to get his upgrade this Thursday. Got some decent offensive line here. They got Joe Thuney, Creed Humphrey, Andrew Wiley. They also have this Jawan Taylor, but let's be real. Most people aren't going to take this Jawan Taylor out the welcome pack. But you can always have fillers if you want the best of best offensive line. The 90s seemed cool, but if you want the best of the best, obviously you would go higher. Tight end, you have Travis Kelce. Pretty solid card still, especially on a theme team. Moving on to their defense, they do need some upgrades. They have Trent McDuffie and Javarius Ward. They're decent. Trent McDuffie, I believe, is 94 speed. Yes, he is. So he's pretty good still. Travarius Ward, 93. Ty Law is a bit outdated. And so is this Tyrann Mathieu. But you guys got to remember, they got Justin Reed for playoffs, but they're also going to be getting at least one other card this week for an upgrade for playoffs. So this team is going to get better as weeks go on. I do predict them to beat the Texans. I don't know how you guys feel, but I do project them to beat the Texans, especially at home. So I do think they're going to at least get 2 more cards for playoffs. So that's why I have Chiefs as an honorable mention. Now moving into the top 5, we got the Washington Commanders. We all know the Washington Commanders beat the Bucs this past week. Their team's getting even better. They got Marcus Mariota, who you can argue is one of the best QBs. I know he doesn't get Master Tack, but you can still run Conductor and Hot Route Master on his stack without like going over the AP. So Marcus Mariota is very good QB. Sean Alexander is very good. Deion Sanders is a good receiver. You got some receivers down here, pretty solid, but they are expensive. That's the only problem with Commanders receivers. Expensive. Like this is probably $2 million. This is probably $1 million. That's probably close to $2 million as well. They do have good tight ends. Zach Ertz on a theme team is probably decent, but Vernon Davis is probably who you want to be using. They do have a solid offensive line with Andrew Wiley, some 90s here, and a 91 they just got last week. They do have Morgan Moses hiding down here. If you do want to try to do this, I wouldn't mind playing somebody out of position for the overall sake, but it's up to you guys. Now moving on to the defense. This is kind of where they're falling off, but as you can see, they made it to the second round, so they are going to get more cards this week. They have probably 2 of the best users for a theme team in the game with Sean Taylor and Bobby Wagner. Bobby would have 95 speed. Sean Taylor would have 97 speed on a theme team. Very, very good. Their corners are kind of falling off. Maybe like 2-3 weeks ago, this theme team was pretty good with their corners, but Paul Krause's abilities are gone. Still very good. I still think he's a decent corner. You do have to pay 3 AP for his mid zone, which realistically, if you have a couple other discounts on your field, it's worth paying for. D'Angelo Hall just got reduxed. He would get up to 95 speed. I don't know how I feel about it. I really hope they get more upgrades soon at DBs, or this theme team will fall off. Possibly a Lattimore upgrade someone in the near future, because now he's a commander, because this unstoppable card came out a while ago. Montez Sweat, very good rusher. We have Bruce Smith, Team Diamond. We all know Team Diamonds are super expensive. And And for safeties, as you can see, they have Team Diamond Ryan Clark. Very expensive, but there's something you can do. You can put Jeremy Chin if you do go to buy him. I probably wouldn't buy him, though, because he's probably more expensive than Ryan Clark. Jeremy Chin's probably around 2.5, 3 mil. But for good reason, he does get discounted mid-zone. Not many cards in the game even get that. He does get it. He has 95 speed. This is probably a top 2 safety in the game right now. And then there's Cam Curl, 94 speed. He'd get up to 96. This is a very good team. Saying they made the next round of the playoffs, they're going to get more playoff cards. This team could be really good. Moving on to number 4, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. As you can see here, they got the new Jeff Garcia. I honestly think his throwing animation isn't the worst. I think it's decent. It's obviously not the fastest. I heard some things about people saying he throws the ball low, like just normally, not low balling or nothing. I think that's a real thing, but I don't think it's for the worst. I don't think it hurts him. Running back, you got Warwick Dunn, Rashad White, Vita Vea. I'm probably going Vita Vea here, just because I'm not running no abilities on the running backs as of right now. Vita Vea, he's pretty fat too, so he probably has a tendency of falling forward. That's probably a good thing. Now receivers, obviously you get Deshaun Jackson, Julio, Jalen McMillan, Tom Brady, Mike Evans. Very good receiving core. If you can't afford Deshaun Jackson, you could go like that or even like that, because Mike Evans and Tom Brady are more than usable. Jalen McMillan's probably the best out of the receiving core, which is crazy to say. He has 95 speed base. You can get him up to 99 speed as of right now with the Team of the Week theme team. I'm not sure if it goes away tomorrow for him or next week, but he's definitely can get up to 97 speed, which is probably one of the faster cards in the game. Offensive line, definitely lackluster. Tight ends, probably not what you want either, but you could always have a filler on one of these teams. Moving on to the defense, we got Carlton Davis. That might be all I have to say. Carlton Davis is probably the most must-have card in the game. Carlton Davis is one of 3 cards with 1 AP mid-zone KO. And his price is definitely fixed because of that. He's 1.78 mil, it says right here. He is very expensive, but definitely worth the coins. And on a theme team, getting him to 95, 96 speed, definitely worth doing. They also have other very good corners with Sean Murphy Bunting. If you put the token on him, he could go up to 96 speed. Same with Zion McCollum. He could go up to 96 speed. These stocking stuffer cards are very good on theme teams. They do have Richard Sherman. I heard bad things about Richard Sherman, and then I heard good things about him. He would get up to 95 speed. He's definitely getting funneled out the good corners because he's getting outdated, but as of right now, he's still usable. For defensive line, as you can see, they get the Warren Sapp. Warren Sapp would go on any team because he'd have all team chems. But honestly, Sue's pretty good, but if I'm being honest, the better D tackles they have are probably this Gerald McCoy and Vita Vea, because they both get 1 AP inside stuff. So it would realistically, for me, be up here like this, because if you think about it, Sue is an LTD and so is Sapp. Technically, he's going to be as expensive as one. So you're going to spend 3 mil on defensive tackles when you could spend probably 1.5 on these. I know Gerald McCoy's an LTD, but I don't think he's as expensive as what these guys will be. For safeties, they're kind of lackluster now. You got Jordan Whitehead. He would have 94 speed on a theme team, which isn't really what you want. Antonio Winfield is definitely not the upgrade you want. And you got Warren Sapp, 90 speed. Definitely lackluster at safety, but like I said, you can have fillers. Your user would be Gronk. Still pretty solid. 6'6", 95 speed, Largardis. That's definitely usable still. But Bucks at number 4. Moving on to number 3, we have the Baltimore Ravens. This team, I think they're going to make a deep playoff run. They definitely have a chance to go to the Super Bowl. And if they do go to the Super Bowl, this team will be 1 or 2. It's the reason I say that is because whenever the Super Bowl promo comes out, the 2 teams in the Super Bowl get blessed. They get so many new cards. and those are always undoubtedly the best teams in the game. When the Super Bowl promo comes out and their specific team gets the cards, they get Lamar Jackson. He's a pretty good QB as of right now. Cordero Stewart's pretty solid. Dion's a good receiver. You can see they have a bunch of team diamonds. They have Devin Hester here. The only receiver I really think is like that, honestly, would probably be Dion. I do think that Deshaun Jackson's good, but he has a big price tag. Todd Heap, kind of slow. You'd only get 93 speed on a 40. Their offensive line is pretty good. Willie Anderson, if you don't want to spend $2 million on Marshall Yanda, you could go Tristan Colon. Matt Burke, solid. And then left of the offensive line's pretty lackluster. Moving on to the defense. This is where they shine. They got Kyle Hamilton, Ed Reed. Both don't have discounted abilities, which suck. Kyle Van Noy, which you could send them off the edge, or even be your looper if you run loop blitzes. Matthew Judon's a solid card. Only 89 speed is kind of rough. Would get to 90, 91. And then you got Marlon Humphrey, who does get a discounted mid zone. Like I said, there's only a few people with him. I definitely think he would get up to 97 speed on a 40 theme team. You guys have Haloti Nada, would get up to 95 speed. And you guys do have Lamar Jackson, if you guys did watch the MCS tournament, to get him for free, who would get up to 96 speed. I'd probably go like this for sure. Rod Woodson, definitely outdated now. I wouldn't recommend, honestly. You guys did get this Nate Wiggins welcome pack. He cannot get to a 94 right now. I believe he can only get to an 89, which isn't really too usable. So I would recommend to put Lamar here, and then actually Lamar there, and funnel out Nate Wiggins. Once Nate Wiggins gets like 94 speed, then I'd probably start putting him in the lineup because his discounted abilities aren't the greatest anyways. So once he gets to the speed I think is usable, I'd probably be like, all right, get him out there type of thing. But as of right now, you can only get him to an 88, 89. But this defensive backs that they have, they're pretty good. Just waiting for Nate Wiggins to get up to his 96 speed. Now moving on to number 2, I do think the Lions are going to be another team that can make a deep playoff run. I do think they have a pretty good chance to beat Washington at home this upcoming week. They do get Jeff Garcia. They have Stafford, stocking stuffer. I definitely pick Jeff Garcia over Stafford, stocking stuffer. They get David Montgomery, which I've seen good things happen to me when someone would use him, or just hear good things about him. David Montgomery, definitely a solid running back, would have 96 speed. J-Mo, probably best receiver in the game, 96 speed, just the most expensive card in the game as well. They also have Calvin Johnson, which I'd probably do that. Calvin Johnson, very good card, would have 97 speed on a full theme team. Khalif Raymond would have 96 speed. Solid card. Some of his stats aren't the greatest, like his catching in traffic being 83 kind of is iffy. I think Amon-Ra is due for an upgrade sometime soon. I don't know if they're going to give him a jump from a 92 to 94 champ, but I think he's due for one. I think Jahmyr Gibbs is due for one. Obviously, you can see he doesn't even have a card in the top 3. And then for tight end, it's definitely Laporta over Ebron. Laporta has 95 speed. Does get 1 AP tank. Very good card. Their offensive line has always been kind of mid, but you're never doing a theme team for their offensive line. You're doing a theme team for their skill positions, or if it's your favorite team. Let's move on to the defense. This is where they really show out. Carlton Davis, like I said, he's probably one of the top 3 must-have cards in the game. Also get Haloti Nada. They do have Night Train Lane. He would have to be on a full theme team for me to say he's borderline usable. I think 95 speed's the threshold you want now. He would have 94. For D-line, they get Kyle Vander Bosch, Ndamukong Kongsu, and Aiden Hutchinson. Realistically, I could probably do this. I could see this happening. Get the best of the best edge rushers for them. This team is very expensive, which sucks. They also get Calvin Johnson, very good card. He's probably a filler even on most teams unless you're using like Jordan Fuller, Jeremy Chin. For linebackers, there's this Jalen Reeves-Maybin. I don't know how many people are taking like outside of Nate Wiggins and like 2 other cards out of the welcome pack, like these guys, because their stats aren't really the craziest. I mean, he does get 95 speed, but he doesn't get 95 speed now. I do think Jack Campbell, I did predict Jack Campbell to get the upgrade this week for the playoff card. Kyle Van Noy, like I said before, even for the Ravens, I think he's a really good looper, a good rusher if it comes down to that. And then CJ Gardner-Johnson, as well as Jamison Williams, one of the most expensive cards in the game. Doesn't even get discounted mid-zone. He does get discounted deep in Elite, which is pretty good. Well, deep in KO. And it's pretty good, but as of right now, we're looking for mid-zones. And then that will really tell if it's a really good card or not. But we have the Lions here at 2. And last but not least, the best team for the future, theme team for the future, is the Philadelphia Eagles. I personally think they can make a deep playoff run. At least conference championship, I believe. They do play the Rams this week. If you guys haven't seen, they did beat the Rams earlier in the season pretty handedly. I believe it should go as it went last time. The Rams defense hasn't showed that it's been much better. I know last game against the Vikings, they had like 9 sacks on them or whatever, but I do think most of these teams are going to make it at least another week in the playoffs. That's why I think for the future this is better, because playoff promo, you always get a card as long as you keep advancing in the playoffs. As you can see, the Eagles got Marcus Mariota. They have Vince Young. There's a couple QBs you could be using. There's the Michael Vick you could be using. The Jeff Garcia that came out you could be using. For running back, you can see they have Michael Vick, Swift, and it's 93 Saquon. I'd really say it's between these two. Whichever you want to do. I personally don't know if I would use Swift. I'd probably go Vick. But if you do like Swift, I've used Swift. He'd get 96 speed. Vick would get 97. Usually would go with someone faster. For receivers, you get Djax. Very expensive. Could do a filler. Julio Jones, a very good receiver, still would have 97 speed. Quez Watkins is another person in the welcome pack that I think is a really good pick. He would get Eagles Chem. He gets up to 97 speed. He is 6 foot, so he's in a good height range. But it's up to you who you pick from the welcome pack. I wish they made it so you could pick more than one. For tight ends, as I was saying, the welcome pack, Dallas Goedert's in it. He's probably the best Eagles. He would have 95 speed for the Eagles theme team. But are you really picking Dallas Goedert? I mean, I'm an Eagles fan. I still didn't pick Dallas Goedert for my pack. Zach Ertz is the best tight end the Eagles have. He would have 94 speed on a theme team. It's okay, but that's not something that's like elite. Their offensive line, although, is very good. They have Lane Johnson, Mekhi Becton. They just got Cam Jernigan's upgrade. This is a very good card. Not many people have this Landon Dickerson, so you could go filler here. It doesn't hurt. And then they have this free John Madden. If you guys haven't done your all Madden solos and stuff, you could get him upgraded pretty quickly. For defense, they have Rasul Douglas. He just came out. I believe he's around, 1.5 mil. So he's right in between there. He is one of the only corners with deep out zone KO. He's very good. He would have up to 97 speed on the Eagles. He would have up to 97 speed on the Eagles theme team. Very good card. Cooper DeJean, like I said about some of the other cards, like the Paul Krause or something, no more discounted abilities. Would get 97 speed, which is really good. But for 1.3 mil, that's pretty pricey for a card that doesn't get no discounts. They also get Haloti Ngata. Solid card, would get 95 speed. Not the worst. For safeties, I'm not too big of a fan of this Terrell Edmonds. The CJ Gardner-Johnson, like I said, is 4.5 million coins. You could probably do something like this to try to make it not that bad. CJ Gardner-Johnson, very good card, would have 97 speed. Malcolm Jenkins could have 96. And a good thing about Malcolm Jenkins, he gets mid zone for 1 AP. That's super good. And then for users, they finally got a user, Nakobe Dean. He's not the tallest, he's not the fastest, but he is usable, and that's all that matters as a user. You don't want him to be too slow, you don't want him to be too short, but he does get to a decent speed, and he's not the shortest. I know 5'11 is pretty short for a user, but he at least gets to 96 speed. And if you have 3 AP to use, you could run mid zone and lurk artist on him. I know a lot of people won't have 3 AP to use. You could just run lurk artist. I think that'd be enough. And the Eagles D-line is still one of the best D-lines you can have. You can have Curse or Reggie White. You can have Sue, Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter. This William Perry is probably getting funneled out. He's really slow now. He's probably like 60-something speed. But for defensive tackles, I'd probably go Jordan Davis because he gets 1 AP inside stuff. But yeah, guys, that is the top 5 theme teams for the future in Madden 25. If you guys like the video and you want to see more like this, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.